What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Building Code. Zach Witovich here.
Charley Birtwhistle here.
Buddy, a little bit different day today.
We made it.
It finally happened.
It finally happened. We have been asking to do something like this for a long time. If you're listening to the audio, we are here live at Buildertrend in front of about 150 product engineering folks. Can you guys say hi?
Wow. Charley, I do want to, you talked about this in the pre-script, that you recently got married.
I did get married on Friday, but I wasn't able to fully enjoy it or think about it too much because I knew I had today coming up.
Yeah.
This is the real big day.
One big twist that we didn't reveal, and I'm glad you didn't, was that you actually had your reception here
At Buildertrend.
at Buildertrend.
I did, yeah.
So what's it like playing on Friday? You have, I assume there was like speeches given on this stage, and now we're having the building code.
I know. Someone asked me when we were back there, like, oh, are you getting flashbacks from your wedding? I'm like, I work 40 hours a week in this building, so if anything.
It's another, 5 to 6.
What's another 5 to 6? And it was great. I took a break right after my speech. I went up to the boardroom, got some work done. Really optimizing my time.
I actually would love to see like a Tableau report like on the screen like during your best man speech.
Yeah, Charley's love over time or something like that. All right, that's enough of Zach and I. We have two very, very special guests today also joining us live in person out in Omaha all the way from beautiful California. Steve, Heather, thank you guys very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Is this your honeymoon?
Yes, this is this is my honeymoon. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. This is the first ever. You guys are kind of inaugural guests in the live version of the Building Code.
No pressure.
No pressure. I was looking at your guys' itinerary. You're here for 2 days, and I think they have every single minute of your time booked with some sort of meeting or podcast. So thank you guys so much for being here and making time for us.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we just rolled out the red carpet for y'all. So hopefully you have the great experience that we're hoping. Steve and I actually just did a webinar as well. We spent a lot of time together. We're going to dinner tonight. I mean, you're going to have to be like, all right, enough of Zach. That's enough. Well, one of the things that we wanted to bring you on today and why we're doing it live is this is our product and engineering team. These are the people that are responsible for bringing the product to our wonderful customers. And I spend a lot of time talking to our customers. So we're working with John Walker, which he's been kind of talking. He's our biggest fan of the Building Code. He wanted to find a way to kind of bring in customers to the product and engineering meeting. And so we felt like this would be a great way to do that. So it's really exciting to have your guys' perspective on the product and really kind of get into our process about how we bring the product to you as well. We're even going to do a live Q&A, just off the cuff, kind of just see what you think. So please don't hold back. Just let her rip, all right? No pressure on your end. Especially with all the engineers watching us, it's one thing to hear it in like a report where it's like, yeah, this kind of sucks, and now it's like, okay, what do you actually think here?
Tell us what you really feel.
Tell us what you really think. And there's obviously really great things too. So let's start with your company. Just tell us a little bit about your journey, how you came to Buildertrend, and kind of why did you go with Buildertrend over other competitors in the construction management space?
You want to feel that one?
Yeah, I think Heather and I each have our own story, and we meet somewhere around 2008. I don't want to give you the whole story, but backstory: I got into construction. My dad was a plumber, chucking a truck, and he told me in high school, he's like, "Don't go in the trades." I probably should have gone in the trades, but I didn't. I went to college, and I remember I went to Sacramento State University, and I remember trying to pick a major, and I was scrolling through all the majors. I'm like, there's business, there's communications, all this stuff. There's this thing called construction management. So it's construction. I love construction and management, right? So that's cool.
Those are words.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I was 17, made sense. And I didn't realize construction management was actually an engineering degree, and I hated math. And I had a hard journey through college. I should have a doctorate, but I went through 7 years of college. And I graduated with my degree in construction management. And during that time, I worked in commercial construction. I interned with a lot of companies and took that traditional path and worked for a commercial construction company. During that time, that was like 2006, 2007, 2008. I met Heather, and we met in 2009.
We met on a job site, just to clarify.
Oh,
I'll let her, clarify on that whole story. We met in 2009. She worked in commercial construction. I worked in commercial construction, and from there, our relationship grew. And with commercial construction, if you're not familiar with the industry versus residential, it's completely different. Like, there's very complex projects, $200 million projects. I worked on a $500 million power plant. Just the concrete package was $80 million. And these jobs took us all over the country, or all over the state, I'm sorry, sometimes over the country. And as we started having kids, we were like, hey, one of us, we can't both be doing this. And I know I was really unhappy in my job. I'm very ADHD type, and I just wasn't not a good employee. And I got a job.
That's true.
Yeah, we said
That is
brutal,
true.
harsh truths.
I was working on a.
We said be honest, so
Yeah, we're going full
Yeah, just go
honesty
full,
mode
like-
right now.
I showed them with
And,
chores.
Kind of backing up from there, I had this job, and Heather goes, "You're not gonna last it a year there." I made it a year,
Real supportive wife.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
A year.
I'll give your wife some tips later.
and I got let go from my job, and I was driving home, and I had my contractor's license. I had a website built for this company that I was going to start one day, and never had the courage to really start. And I was doing work on the side, and she goes, "Just go for it. You have your license. Just make the website live, and you're there." And I did it, and had some faith. And at the same time, Heather was pregnant. So picture us, we have a 2-year-old at home. She's 5 months pregnant. Just lost my job. Had about $5,000 in our savings account. This was 2017. Had an old truck, and we started the company. We were fortunate with getting some large projects early on, and really taking care of our clients and building on that reputation. One of the biggest challenges we had, and I don't want to go too far down the road, was just trying to integrate the company and integrate the processes we had in commercial construction to our residential company. So that's my perspective of our journey. I'd like to hear Heather's too.
I definitely want to hear more about that first meeting. I feel like we glanced over that real quick.
We glazed over that.
Yeah.
No, real quick.
There was a skid loader.
Yeah, it
some
was
framing.
it was a bridge actually.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
the
Oh,
water. It
romantic.
was great. It was
Love
very
that.
romantic. Yeah, I think we were actually redoing the pump house.
No, we were adding a toilet to a toll bridge.
Exactly. It was very, very beautiful.
It was a very complicated project. It was a drawbridge on
Yeah.
the California Delta, but
Yeah,
was
it had
just
to be
a
done at
toilet.
night. Yeah, it was a whole thing. So my background, I actually got my degree in actually marketing and public relations. Worked for an electrical contractor in 2008, 7, and 2008, nobody needed a marketing department. So they were like, "Great, we like you, but we don't need a marketing department anymore. But we're gonna move you to construction. You're gonna get to go build submittal packages." And I knew nothing about construction. It was great. So I moved over to that team. I ended up really falling in love with construction, figuring out, all the ins and outs. I ended up going back to school and got my certificate in construction management. Worked my way up, worked for the largest electrical contractor in California as a project manager, and met Steve. I cashed in when stock was low. He was still in school. I was a project manager.
Stock's an all-time high right
took
now.
a
Yeah,
flyer.
all-time high. We
You
were
took a
going,
flyer.
I did.
Yeah, I
I
love
was
it.
like, hey. So, and then, I was running work all throughout California when we started the business. I was actually on maternity leave. I actually got the date handed to me today. I had a 5-week-old baby. We had employees, and I needed to figure out how I could get their time into a time card, for all the time that I could be able to work on, the business while I had a 2-year-old and a 5-week-old. So I actually had my first intro with Buildertrend in 2018 when, I was home on maternity leave. That's when I decided, great.
I should Google construction
Yeah.
management software.
That's exactly how it went. Yeah, I had my whole intro. I think we figured out my baby was 5 weeks old. So yeah, I worked that in on a nice demo. But yeah, that's how we kind of ended up with our, processes and platforms in our company. We kept going with the business. Still kept my job. I didn't move over full-time to the business till 2019, still running work, hospitals, prisons, all that kind of stuff. So really we took what we knew in commercial construction and we brought it over to our business and integrating all the options that Buildertrend has for us.
I love that. I feel like, when we have people on the podcast here, there's two distinct camps of where people came from in their construction journey. And one is like, I took over my dad's business when I was old enough. And you guys, I think, is the much more fun story of like, we kind of accidentally fell into this and figured it out as we went, took a shot, launched this thing, and obviously very, very successful up to today. So just to set the context a bit more before we get into the nitty gritty, can you tell us a little bit more about Tankersley Build as it exists today? How many employees do you have? How many builds are you doing? Just to kind of set the framework for the rest of this.
Yeah, so currently we have 10 employees. We have in-house carpentry that we self-perform. So we have 3 in-house carpenters, operations manager, production manager, office manager. We actually have a new PM who's starting with us in a couple months. So that's what we, in terms of staffing side, plus Steve, myself, and our estimator. We do typically around 15 to 12 jobs a year, depends on the contract value and size, and we'll do 1 custom home build a year. Anything else?
No. We do some commercial work.
You still do?
We probably do 1 commercial project a year. Really, the mission for us is we build cool stuff for cool people. So if you've got a cool project and you're a cool person, probably a good fit, right? We have a little more dialed than that, but I mean, you know, honestly, we'd build a doghouse for someone if there is a cool enough doghouse and a cool enough person and they have the budget for it.
And it's over $100,000.
Yeah.
Man, prices in
Complex.
California.
Being
Doghouse.
$100,000.
$1,000
Yeah.
doghouse.
Yeah, there
What's
might be a
happening
market
on
for that.
Zillow?
And we really thrive in like a larger scale edition, really, you know, kind of a complicated build. We're going to blow out the back of your house. We're going to do a steel beam. You know, we're not doing just a kitchen at this time, right? Obviously everyone has to start somewhere. That's what we were doing. You know, you got to ramp up. You can't just take on all the cool, sexy projects first. But I would say our bigger jobs now, you know, everything's over about $500,000 in contract value at this point.
Yeah. This is the part of the interview where normally we take the bait and we get off script and we get yelled at. So I'm going to keep it on script here and talk a little bit about Buildertrend when it comes to your evolution of it. So you Google it 2018, you find construction management software, Buildertrend obviously at the top of the list, you try it out. The interesting thing is a lot of people, when they try a construction management software, they end up moving on and saying, you know, I'm going to go back to our actual competitor, which is Microsoft Excel, right, or manual methods, because that's their habit. So why did you guys end up staying with Buildertrend? What was it that kind of led to your evolution? You've got your commercial contracting background, you want SOP, so why Buildertrend though, when there's also plenty of options out there?
Because Heather said so.
No, I mean, I
What it takes, we call that the BT champion, everyone.
I think it's important to consider the context of our business history. We started in November, just 2017. Our first project was in just November. We finished it in February of 2018. We signed up with Buildertrend in May of 2018. So we weren't a 10-year-old established company with these processes ingrained that a lot of companies struggle with, where we were pretty open to stuff.
There's no bad habits. We didn't have bad habits to break yet, right?
I came from a company that was using competitor, we used some pretty antiquated software. I'm not going to name it, but it was really difficult to use at commercial construction, but it had the functions we needed, but it was very hard to use. Mm-hmm. And so when I came on here, I just needed I had clients, I needed a schedule, I needed daily logs, and I really needed a database for all my trade partners, because it was getting out of hand where I had like 4 drywall guys and 3 plumbers, and like I couldn't remember all these guys' names. They're in my phone.
Joe, the drywall guy.
Yeah, I still have these in my phone. Like I just typed drywall. It's like Joe drywall guy. I'm like, I don't even know who this is from like 5 years ago.
Joe.
Yeah. You know, heaven forbid he hasn't.
So having that database for all my subs, like that was crucial for me as running projects. But also remember, Heather was running the financials on the back end and the time cards and doing the payroll at night. And so that was a different thing for her. But for me, I kept with it because my clients had a schedule. I was able to ditch project and Excel for schedules, because what I was doing was building a master schedule and project. When I first started, actually a bootleg project, I didn't even pay for it. I think I downloaded it for free somewhere. And then I would do Excel little look-ahead schedules. And so having that was great. And then having that database of subcontractors and doing that sub-trade invites for us, for me, that was critical early on.
Yeah, I agree. I think for us, you mentioned the time clock feature and getting payroll pushed through. It wasn't until 2019 that I moved over. So half the time I'm not going to be able to track down a time card from somebody, at 9 o'clock at night on Sunday when I'm getting to payroll. Same thing with sub payments. Did we pay this sub? Did we not pay this sub? Is that what we're supposed to pay them, right? Utilizing the PO features and stuff like that, and making sure that we're paying what we said we were going to, and we're not paying them more than we should. Mm-hmm. So that was really for us, just working through those processes and knowing what we know, we need a process, right? How do we do that? How do we execute that? I don't think you go into business like, oh, I got it all figured out, right? Everybody's flying by the seat of the pants and trying to figure it out. We call it build plane as you fly, right? So we're trying to make all these things happen with, the nuts and the bolts falling out. And how do we do that? And having at least a system to say, okay, this is where everything's going to live. This is how we're going to, execute the job, right? And then build from there.
Yeah.
What I'm really interested to hear is I feel like what you guys described sounds pretty common why most people sign up. We have one specific pain point that they're looking to solve. They find the solution, they dive into that. And then the kind of two forks in the road there is, are we fine with settling with just the core functionality, the reason that we signed up, or Buildertrend, obviously a very, very robust system? Do we continue to train and adopt new features and go outside of what we were just looking for and really optimize how we're using the system? And you guys obviously are sitting up here today because you use our system very, very well. One of our influencers, you're here in HQ meeting with our entire C-suite, meetings with Zach, you guys are the best of the best. So I'd love to hear from your perspective for, potential clients listening to this, and also obviously our engineering folks here today, is what did it take for you to continue to push yourself to adopt more and more of the platform and not just kind of settle for, okay, now we have our subcontractors in the schedule, which is what we were originally looking for? How did that continued evolution look?
I think for us, scale, right? How are you going to scale? If it's only we're just going to utilize the schedule, but I have this tool, how is somebody besides me, myself, or Steve going to be able to do this? If we're going to have a team, if we're going to grow. I mean, at the time when we integrated it, we had 2 employees, 3 employees. I mean, so when you look at it from the bigger scale, I think our background helps with that as well, right? Knowing that there has to be some place for this to go and to be able to keep diving into it. If you're not growing, you're dying. So why wouldn't you push yourself to be better? Why wouldn't you push it to keep exploring how can we do this process better? We're very oriented in both how we approach projects and what we ask of our team. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And what are we going to change? We always start that. Every job, we do a plus delta at the end, right? What went well and what can we change? Because that's the only way you're going to get better, right? You're going to get better as a company. You're going to get better as an individual, an employee, right? And what's the experience going to be for the customer? No different than what Buildertrend does.
Yeah, I think one critical thing for us as a company is it's not about how much work we do. We never wanted to just be a $1 million remodeling company. And so if you just want to be a $1 million remodeling company that does 5 jobs a year, you could probably run it pretty well on Excel and just your typical things. It could be better. But if you want to actually grow, you got to have the framework in place to be able to grow smartly and responsibly. And Buildertrend has given us that where, we can run, we'll be running any given time. We'll have, 20 active projects, whether they're in warranty, pre-construction, or construction, and we could run all those jobs in one time and see where they're at, schedule, financial, everything, and just see that hub. So I don't have all these spreadsheets everywhere. And the big driver for us to keep pushing, honestly, a lot of that has been on Heather's end, delving into the financial side. And we did a lot of that in 2020 when we were shut down, and a little bit of a story there, but just really opening up the financials in Buildertrend, because at that time in 2020, we were about a $2.4 million revenue company. We were a quarter of what we are right now. And, but by getting that set up, it gave us the framework to be where we're at today, 4 years later.
Yeah. How are you going to stay organized? How are we going to execute on more projects, more complex projects without having those systems in place and utilizing the features to do that?
It's really interesting. Charley and I, when we have guests on the podcast, this comes up a lot. You have the growth mindset. You went into this around having a vision of, I know I can get here with processes. Do you feel like Buildertrend has been able to accommodate your growth? Or did it help enable your growth faster? What was the kind of impact of the product in order for you to achieve these, visionary, aspiring type mindsets that you have going into business?
Yeah, I think having Buildertrend, the answer is yes. It's a piece of it. We're involved in a lot of things, in peer mentoring and networking on local and national scale. I mean, all those are pieces of it. But having this process, and number one, if you're selling to high net worth individuals, executives, people who own their own businesses, having a platform like this puts you head and shoulders above the people that they're talking to. So if you're trying to build, well, we just finished a $4 million home, right? We just, and the owner is a very large tech vice president. Having that platform for him was like, no question, I want these guys. And so that has allowed us, just having the platform and using it has allowed us to, really attract that clientele.
We
But
get that.
you can't fake it. You
Yeah.
can't just have the software and then they keep getting Excel spreadsheets during construction. You actually have to do it.
Yeah, and that's across the board, right? I mean, I think we use it in sales, and clients look at it and they're just like, "Wow, that's amazing! We love that. We love that you have that. We love that you show an active job you have right now." I mean, we showed them the daily log feature, and we brought it up, and there was a picture on the daily log. They're like, "Oh, did you stage that photo for the daily log for how clean the site is?" No, that's what it looks like. Like, this is what we actually do, and that comes from the top down. I mean, this isn't just Steve and Heather pushing this, and the team's not bought in, right? Like, the subs have to be bought in, our employees have to be bought in, our employees have to realize that it has a benefit as well, and so it can't just come from us. That's what we push from the management standpoint, but the team buys into it as well.
Yeah, so Zach took the layup question there of, does Buildertrend help your guys' business?
Hey, man, you're slow on the mic.
Yeah, I know. So now I get the next one, which is what areas you
It's
want
the
to see
audience. It's all right.
improved.
Hey, you're doing great.
Yeah.
No, I think the product and engineering team that we have here today has done a fantastic job. I'd say our company as a whole, the past few years has had this tagline, focus on the customer, focus on the customer. And the people in the crowd today have really been leading from the front. They do customer interviews, they do customer ride-alongs. Every single thing that we put into the product was because they talked to a customer. So this may be the most direct and live and recorded feedback that we've ever had, but it is really, really important as we continue to build for our customers is to get that customer feedback. So that was my nice way of teeing up this question of what things are you looking for improvements in the features and functionality of Buildertrend? Is there something that you really wish we had added? Is there an area that you wish could be improved a little bit? We cleared this with our marketing and PR team before this. We want harsh and honest truths here. So this is your opportunity to vent or provide suggestions a little bit on what you'd like to see improved.
I think we're each going to give different feedback.
Perfect.
So I run all the operations and production side, so all the construction crews, subcontractors, and the customer portion of it during a build. So we're going to have different feedback for this, I think, from how we each utilize the software. Steve handles all the estimating and sales, so he's going to probably rip into the estimating template. But I think for us, I think the thing that's challenging. The thing that's challenging for us on the production side of it, and I was telling somebody earlier when they were asking, is getting subs bought into it, right? Like our subs utilize it and it's great, and we push that on our end, but that's like a constant, right? Again, back to we need to utilize this. This is where we're all going. I think it would be great if we actually were able to make that interface happen. We have subs. We have our cabinet maker. He's a Buildertrend customer, right? He does a daily log on his side. Why can't I see his daily log? I'm already calling him going, "Hey, this door alignment's off on these cabinets." "Yeah, I know. My guy already did a daily log and I saw it. I'll have him there tomorrow," right? So just the amount of phone call I wouldn't have to make to him, or I'm making him a to-do. The giant joke, he actually did it at our panel at IBS. He made me a giant sign that was like, "I love a to-do from Heather." So, I'm making him a to-do and he's like, "Great, thanks. Appreciate that. Awesome. Yeah, I already got the alignment." So that would be, that's one of the challenges, because he's obviously a paying customer to Buildertrend and so are we. Why can't we see those things together? And knowing that. I think the notifications to everybody, I always get that feedback of yeah, I don't even pay attention to that. I got 14 notifications. So that's turned into a challenge for us too.
I think, first of all, you guys are doing a great job. You built an amazing.
Sorry,
product.
probably
Heather just went
started
right
with
in.
a compliment.
She did not
I
hesitate.
just laid into you guys. Sorry.
Steve backed it up.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm one of
You
those
guys are great.
guys.
Please don't storm the.
I'm sure
We're human.
A lot of you guys get friends like, "I got a great app idea. I got an app idea," and can you build it for me? I'm sure that's
We
the
love
thing, right?
ideas. Just start pitching app ideas right
So,
now.
and there's so much work that goes into all this stuff. So I think you guys are doing a great job. And what I look at is, where else are we spending money for other platforms that you guys can just do? And we just have one platform and I'll pay more money for it. That's not a problem. It's just, there's less things we have to keep track of. And there's like some key points, and I brought it up before, and bring it up today too. And it's like crew scheduling, right? Like we use a separate app for crew scheduling. And when I say crew scheduling, it's like Jose the carpenter has to be at one job for 2 hours in the morning, then 4 hours, and then 2 hours, right? And so a robust crew scheduling platform. You know, there's tool inventory management. We have a separate app for tool inventory management at our company, right? And be able to barcode things and keep track of those things if we can have that in there. And then the customer service portal. We have another app for customer service, and that's as far as
like warranty.
No, I'm sorry, reviews, customer feedback, and just I know we can use surveys. I know we could do those things for those, but a platform where someone types in Tankersley Construction and it shows, you know, all the reviews for Tankersley Construction, 5 stars, something other than Google or Yelp, right? That's something we also pay another thing for. Like there's other things that we could just incorporate in this. That would be awesome. And I think there's also a huge market and opportunity maybe being missed with the trade partners. And just to understand, on one project that we're involved in, we'll have 15 to 20 other companies involved in that project that will probably be in Buildertrend that are your potential customers. If you could get the crew scheduling nailed right, just sell them on that, because these companies all have, you know, 10, 20, 30 people on their payroll that are crews. You sell them on that, and you sell them, oh, by the way, you can do a project schedule and financials and stuff, and like that, and you can integrate with Tankersley Construction on their end, like you could quadruple your customer base. So I think there's some good opportunities there.
It's really interesting because it can be hard to translate what construction is versus what preconceived stereotypes are. So when I was traveling for Buildertrend, when I like you, Heather, like I wasn't in construction. I didn't know anything about it. You know, it's like I think of when I Google, I need a roofer, you know. And when I go to their offices and I start to understand how it's all connected and it's interwoven and that they are using technology, what they're looking though is to consolidate how much technology they're having to do, because it's so much time wasted trying to figure out how this tool works, that tool works, this tool works. Like the number one reason people struggle to get on board with Buildertrend is just like they don't have the time to use another tool in a sea of tools that they're trying to do in order to actually like consolidate their business. It takes that mindset for it to really work today. So I guess, you know, I'm curious on our side, like what could we be doing better like early? You know, when you signed up and what you did, like what were the things that we did well and the things that maybe we needed to be more focused on to try and get you to adopt it faster, or to see that vision on our end to get you there? Because like you're a success story for Buildertrend for sure. It's why you're on our stage and like we're bringing in front of our product and engineering team. But there's a lot of companies it doesn't work for, and that's like what hurts myself and my VP Mike and our leadership. It's like, why do people leave us? Like we hear these stories and it's so incredible. Like what do we need to do product-wise, experience-wise to like capture more of established GCs like yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, I think we're a little bit of an anomaly in that you didn't need to sell us on like, why is a software good for our business? Like that wasn't what we needed, right? I think sometimes that's hard for you. I think you guys maybe, okay, you need a software, embrace technology. Construction is not big on embracing technology, right? We saw that in commercial construction. Residential's 15 years behind that. So, you know, that's a different sell. I think the bigger point, and what I hear, you know, Steve and I go to these functions and we meet other contractors, and I think really identifying who's the implementer, right? There is a dreamer and there is an implementer. And so I think we both know, maybe it's not obvious, who the roles are, right? Of who does that. And when I hear feedback from people, they're like, oh, you're really integrated in Buildertrend. Like, that's great. I signed up for that, right? And my wife or my daughter or my son, or, you know, they're going to get into that. And like that person's like, I have no idea where to start. And, you know, I know you guys provide feedback and coaches and training and stuff. It's hard. I mean, it took us 5 years even to get to the point of how much we utilize Buildertrend, right? And we came from a world where we didn't need to be sold on that. So I think figuring out how that client's going to do that, and that's very tailored. You know, we were having this conversation earlier. You pick us and you pick a builder in Texas, we're going to be completely different. Everybody's business structure is just a little bit different, and that's hard for you to hit. It's not a stamp repeat, you know. And I think really understanding who your client is that's going to implement the process, and how do you want to do that? How do you want to do that? Is that a 60-day goal, right? Everybody likes a goal, but is that really reasonable? And is 60 days going to happen? Because in the back end, even though you're trying to roll out a new software, right? You still have a client to keep happy. You have payroll to make. You got bills to pay. Like, there's all these other pieces. So, what's going to give me reward faster and make me money? I mean, that's really what it is. And understanding how you're going to do that. And that's hard. That's not cookie cutter. It's no different than for us. Every homeowner is different.
Yeah, I think you have to start off with it. A lot of these companies are multi-generational. There's remodeling construction companies have been around business 20, 30, 40 years, and you're getting a lot of old processes. So you have to make sure it doesn't come from the top down when you're just selling to, an owner, but is the team bottom on board. And that's where it's like bringing those key players on early to be on board with you. But it's more like with any sales process, starting with what's their pain and like, how do we solve that? Like, how do you guys schedule? How's that working for you? Tell me more about that, right? And just getting down that road, can I show you how we would do it or how my customer does it? Or can, and I'm happy to meet with one-on-one with customers that you guys are talking to, maybe on the fence and you guys want to try to bring over. I can show them how we do it or show them our webinar. So the best thing you do, you guys have, have a lot of great ideas too. And I like this onboarding idea where if you guys can come on and help a company onboard, come out to them or upload their information for them, that'd be a huge lifesaver. And a lot of companies in construction are willing to pay for those things. We have the money, we just don't have the time. So we'll give you the money, here's the information, you do it. But even just flying out to Omaha for most companies is a daunting thing because you gotta leave these projects. And so, as long whatever keeps us on the job, running jobs, working, producing work, if there's other you guys can do in the back end to help us, that would be awesome. But yeah, the biggest thing is it has to come from, it can't come from top down, and the team has to be bought in, and anything you do to save us time.
Time's money. And that's the biggest translation that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. I remember on my first visit, I was like, oh, these are businesses. Like they don't really care about me. They're trying to use this thing for their livelihood, right? And that's just the reality of in construction. It's just it's fast moving. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of fires. I would watch people come to the office and be like, hey, I need my check. And it's like, where'd you come from? 45 minutes away to get paid. It's like, there's these little gaps that until you actually hear from a customer or see it in their office that you never think of. And the tools are there, but like getting people to use it is always the first challenge, right? And why they use it. So we've been investing a lot of our money of Buildertrend back into the product to try and improve the product, obviously. We've got a bunch of engineers here. We've rolled out some new features recently that we'd love to get your perspective on. We've been really focusing on cost plus contract work. Have you got a chance to explore any of those features that we've rolled out in the last quarter or so?
I beta tested for a few. I think
Oh,
I've talked to quite a few people.
What a drop, Zach.
Hey,
You should know.
it's great. Yeah.
And what are
Sorry.
your thoughts?
I think it's great. I think that's where, for us, that's where our company's gone. We've moved to cost plus more in the last year. I think it's great for the transparency for the client. I think the feature to be able to bill and be able to see that from the budget standpoint is very helpful. I actually need to talk to somebody on how my client can see some of that. So I actually need to follow up on that.
Which one of you?
I know,
We're getting after the meeting.
So I think that's been a game changer in being able to set the margin aspect and all that. I love that we're actually able to control more of that feature. I think that's great, and being able to show those line items and if you want to be able to play with that more, you can. So I think it's been great. Personally, I was really excited when that did come out.
Yeah, and you that was an all-time mic drop moment. Like, obviously, I've seen it, Zach. I beta tested it. I think they actually did provide us. They provided little write-ups of you guys for Zach and I to read before you came on, and there was a little note on there that said they were in the cost plus beta. So I already knew that, which is why I didn't ask the question.
Wow. Oh, I just walked right into that one.
No.
First round's on you tonight.
I'm not talking to you for 2 weeks in meetings.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, as long as we don't have to record during that time, we're good. We're actually doing fantastically on time here. This is, I would say, rare for us. So I want to end with the last question, maybe not the last question, but one thing I want to hear that's not on the sheet is a little meta, but like, how has your trip to the Buildertrend HQ gone so far? Like, I think this is something that we want to do more of. And, you're meeting with our various leaders. We're having, live recordings through this. Like, customer feedback is something that we're craving across the building right now. We want to do more and more of these sessions. So how has it gone so far? What has the feedback been like from you guys? Kind of a live review of the visit halfway through your visit, if you don't mind.
Well, we just got in last night about 9 o'clock. So, I saw Omaha for the daylight for the first time about 3 hours ago.
Blew you away.
Beautiful skyline.
Look,
Two
we're in
skyscrapers,
California.
ladies and gentlemen, two.
We're in Northern California. California is a very varied state. We're in the foothills, Sierra Nevada. We look out, we see Tahoe in our mountains, and we live on 10 acres. So we live in a more rural area. But what I always like traveling outside of California is how clean other places are. I mean, it's just like, it's a beautiful place. The grass is green, it's mowed.
I know, I think it's been great. It's been awesome to get to, like officially meet you guys, right? I mean, we've chatted. Steve's been on the, building code. I've been on the building code.
I'm taller than I.
You're taller than we thought. I mean, all those things, right? I think it's fun. It's fun getting to see all the people that we interface with and we've talked to and over the 5+ years that we've worked with you guys. So I think it's cool. It's nice to have that relationship, with you guys.
Well, we can't stress enough how thankful we are for you guys taking the time to do this. We are actually going to open up this interview to the audience now.
First time on the Building Code, live Q&A.
Live Q&A. So I believe we have a microphone set up. I know that there were some people that kind of hand raised prior to ask some questions. So if you guys want to work your way over to the microphone right there, we'll do a live Q&A with Steve and Heather. And if you don't mind just introducing yourself and your role here at Buildertrend first so that they can have an understanding as well too, that'd be great.
I'm Sean Casper and I'm with the mobile team. So my question is, as influencers, what is the best experience you've had as an advocate for Buildertrend?
I don't know if I can qualify as an influencer. I'm not cool enough for that. What would you say?
Well, I'll give credit to your team and Buildertrend.
Yeah.
You guys are killing it on the marketing game, and I don't think of us as an influencer, but the culture you've built outside of Buildertrend is like none other. You go to IBS, some of you guys may have been. It's the International Builders Show. There's a lot of companies there, and they have their influencers, and they're doing all this stuff, but nobody has like this group of people who are actually friends, who hang out and go get dinner and talk to each other outside of all these channels. Like, we have this group, and you guys are kind of onto something, I think. We went out to, right after the International Builders Show, Heather and I flew out to Scottsdale to do a meetup with Brad Levitt and a bunch of other companies out there. And we're all friends, and we went out to steaks and stuff after, and we're like, we talk all the time. And so for me, like, the best thing is just making these new friendships and these relationships that will last hopefully longer than I have this company.
I agree. I think sometimes as business owners, it can be sometimes isolating. You have employees, you have people, you have all these people that are looking to you, and it's nice to be able to sit in a room with other builders and other owners, right? And it's like, oh yeah, we got that problem too. And so I think that's been the most rewarding part. It brings that sense of community, and from somebody we probably never would have known.
The number one question I get from customers is, can I talk to another customer? Like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to someone else that knows my business, my problems. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Next up.
John Little, QA manager here at Buildertrend. For any company, when they introduce a new software, there's the point of purchase, the point when it becomes an integral part of their business. I'm curious for you guys, what was your aha moment for your company that made it run smoother and become more successful? And did it take you some time to get to that point and find that moment?
Yeah, so I think for us, the aha moment was taking all of these, we had like QA, or QC checklists, right? Pre-pour checklists where we, okay, is everything square? Does this line up? Before we close walls, we had all these checklists and all these Word documents, and they were flying around on our server and stuff. And so we actually put them in a to-do, and they get tied to the schedule activity, and you actually open up the attachment and you go through it all, and then everybody signs it and marks it off, and then we know it's done. And then people don't go, oh, we were supposed to do that? Oh, shoot, dang, we already poured the concrete. Like, shoot, hope the pad's good. So, I mean, that's, I think, really for us, it's like putting the workflow in place with the schedule that you're building and the expectations you're setting for the client. So I think that was my aha moment of, okay, let's put all this stuff into one area and make that happen.
I think for me, the aha moment was probably COVID 2020. A lot of things changed in our business, and we still do today. Number one, we were shut down for a month, and Heather took that opportunity. Heather and I, mostly Heather, took the opportunity to build out all our cost codes, build out everything on the back end financially on the project. She would joke, she's like, I just wish the world would just stop for a month so that I could just get this caught up. And
that was in January. Sorry, guys.
Thanks, Heather.
It's Heather's fault. And we use that opportunity to set this up financially. Once we're in Buildertrend financially, like we had everything linked in QuickBooks and cost codes, like we're kind of, we're blood brothers at this point. We're in it. Like it's hard for us to really walk away. And so that was the big moment. But then on the flip side with our customers, we never shut our jobs down. We were never able to be face to face with our customers in 2020. So new prospects, the leads kept coming in, but we couldn't do in-person meetings. So we're going on Zoom. And at that point is when I started sharing my screen and showing them their neighbor's house and like how we manage projects, which I still do today. And like that was using Buildertrend as a sales tool was huge for us. And then also using it in the daily logs, making sure we had daily logs every day because we weren't meeting with the clients every day, but they wanted to see what got done. And so COVID 2020 for me was like that aha moment where we had to do these things.
Next up.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you guys so much for being here today. My name is Brian Carey. I'm an engineering manager in the materials house. So I'm working with CBUSA and our new BT purchasing product. So I'm just kind of curious to hear what your guys' experience has been in the industry with rebate or GPO programs like group purchasing. And how do you feel those programs are generally perceived by builders in the industry?
So I will fully transparent. We have not embraced that side probably as much as we could. I will totally take ownership of that one. I think for us, it's another big elephant to bite off, right? Because we have other accounts, we have a Ferguson account, right? We got we got Home Depot, we got all these, there's so many that are out there, And so I think, again, it goes back to how are you going to eat the elephant, right? And so I think, for myself, right, I still need to do it. And maybe other, users, what's the best roadmap? How do I do that? How do I take on the elephant, right? What bite do I take first? Is it just getting everything integrated? Like, what does that actually look like? So I have no good feedback other than we need to do it, and maybe somebody can show me afterwards.
Well, with that, any edge you can give your client is a slight edge, on the back end will help them, right? And so as far as rebates through Buildertrend, we are signed up for the first one. We're on Ferguson.
I picked your account, and I think you're
trying to work that out with our local Ferguson because there's a problem there.
So we are signed up on the platform. Our rep wasn't, there's a little bit of miscommunication because our rep wasn't aware of the coordination with Buildertrend. So, and then on CBUSA, they just don't work in our area. They don't work in California, so we're not able to use that. We have more limited options where we're in.
I guess, Heather, something you said that could be interesting for you, Brian, on that is how do you decide which vendors you do work with? What do you value about that relationship, or why Ferguson versus like a competitor?
So for us, we actually moved from a local company over to Ferguson because we followed our sales rep, honestly. And it was the customer experience because she was great. And I joked with the local person when she was there. I said, pay her whatever she wants. Don't let her leave. Because if she leaves, I will take my business. And she did. And so it was my experience. I have her in my phone. She knows, like, hey, can you track this down for me? It's like, it's one phone call, and I don't have to worry about it after that, right? It's like, I know exactly who it is. Like, Sarah's in my phone. Hey, Sarah, that P-trap that came out, yeah, it's not the right finish. I need a new one. I need it there Tuesday. Send it directly to site. Cool, Heather, I'm on it. Done. It's there.
Yeah, for us, it's when a problem arises and how it's going to arise, how is that company going to handle that problem? So I don't want to go just work with someone because I'm gonna get 1% back on something. I want to work with a company that provides us training for our employees, that's going to be there to stand up for a product failure, or even if it wasn't even caused by them and it's just one of those weird fluke accidents, are they going to stand up for it? Are they going to send us a new window screen when it, is damaged or it's wrong? And do I have to chase them down? We have jobs right now with previous vendors that everything is tooth and nail. And like, I don't care how good your price is. I'm never going to work with you again.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something else. It's something else that we have to go do or we're going to be responsible for. So if you're offering a product, you should make my life easier.
What a notion. Great question. All right, next up.
My name's Chelsea Grant. I'm with our product operations team. And this question is actually coming from Jake Jepson. He's one of our remote employees also on the operations team. So he really looks into usage metrics, and he went ahead and looked at your guys' Buildertrend product use, and he found that you have a significantly higher subcontractor engagement than a lot of other similar builders of ours. And so he was just curious if you guys could think of anything you're doing differently as a business that's leading to this increased sub engagement.
Holding their payment till they use Buildertrend? No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Heather does not mess around.
Yeah, no big deal. We do a lot with our sub-trades. We appreciate the sub-trades, right? We only self-perform finished carpentry, so we couldn't build the homes and the projects that we do without them. Like Steve mentioned, we'll have anywhere from 20 to 35 subs on any given job, depending on the complexity. So there's a lot about relationships that are there, and we value that. We just had a sub-trade event at our office last month, had everybody there, had tacos, all that kind of stuff. We let them see all the finished product, and it's about relationships, and then how can we make their business run smoother and quicker? I have subs all the time that's, we'll put a PO through. Hey, I put your PO through, just double check we got everything in there. Prices are good, great. Baseline is right. We'll go through, we'll have change orders on jobs and we'll issue them over, PO change order. Then they'll ask, hey, I think that outlet was, we missed one. Oh, okay, great, send it over. So it's not just because, again, Steve and Heather say we're gonna do this. How can I make it better for you? Let's get your paperwork cleaned up, right? Let's make sure you know how much it's gonna, you're gonna get from me on this job. And then let's get you paid. Let's get you paid quicker, right? Because if I pay them quicker, then they're probably gonna pick up my phone call the next time there's an emergency or we have the next job and it might be scheduled the same time as somebody else. How do we get them to do that? And Buildertrend allows us to do that and make them more money as well. Because again, we're all businesses. We're all trying to keep our employees paid and keep things moving.
I think it starts with early engagement too. When a new trade partner comes on with us, the first thing they do, they want to work with us. I get messages on Instagram a lot, for example, and I'll just, hey, send an email to, Sean in our office with your information and we'll get you in our database. And so that's the first thing. So the first engagement they have with our company is with Buildertrend. It sets it up down the line. So if I just put their number in my phone and then I emailed them for a bid and then I expected them when they finally got a job with us start using Buildertrend, you're already behind the ball. So start with it on day one, build out your subcontractor database, use it for bid invites for your trade partners, and then all of a sudden they're more inclined to use it. The other thing is too, a lot of our trade partners, we align ourselves with a few trade partners that are more like us in our generation. And our generation, is used to technology, and so we're embracing it. But I'll be honest, I know you have a framer who's 65, he's probably not going to use it, and you're never going to get him to use it. So, but that's kind of how we do it.
It's really interesting on our webinar. That was one of the most popular questions too. 6 or 7 people, they see the value. They want to make sure that they're getting the full ecosystem set up. It's just a matter of having that opportunity to get them to do it. I think it does take education, right? Like the why behind it. Great question. Next up.
Hello, Logan Johnson, product manager in the financial space, but I am asking a question on behalf of Trevor Lingerer. What is the number one pain point which is either affecting your business or personal well-being and work-life balance, even if it seems outside the bounds where a software company can help?
I would say it's just, we talk about this a lot, is customer expectations. And customer expectations, what I mean by that is, I say it all the time, the only information out there is bad information in our industry. And so any other industry, you want to buy a new car, you can Google how much that car costs, what people pay for it, and you have a level of quality you can expect from the factory on that car. It's pretty straightforward. Everything in this room, you can find online what it costs, where you can buy it, what it's going to look like. What we do is one of the last handmade trades things that's made. We take all the materials from all around the world, we put them in a truck, we bring them into your house, we assemble it on site. It doesn't matter what the weather is, and we tell you when it's going to be done. And there's a level of quality, but it's not really established. And people think they know what it costs, but they don't really know what it costs. And so that just translates from the sales process all the way to completion. So that's the stuff that keeps us up at night, because you have a client who's calling us on Saturday because you painted their house, you painted their daughter's room, and it was supposed to be blue, and you painted it white, and they're calling you on Saturday. Like, we're all human. Mistakes get made, right? And I think people have lost sight of that in our society a little bit, where, like, I don't know if people had the same level of problems building homes 40 years ago that we have now, where it's like, there's no tolerance for error. You are Tankersley Construction. I see what you put on social media. I expect it not to be perfect. And we're not perfect, and we make mistakes, and it's how you react to those mistakes. So the clients that we work best with are the ones who understand you make mistakes. It's supposed to be white. I'm sure you'll take care of it. Thank you very much. It's the ones that, call you and yell at you and say, you don't represent yourself accurately. I'm not saying this is not a real world scenario, but these things do happen. So the other part of that is pricing and just what people expect to pay for a home. And the reality is what you see on our Instagram page or our house page or whatever, our website, and other influencers who are in Buildertrend, like, this is the best of the best. And a lot of these projects, I'm not saying all of our work, but a lot of these projects that you see online that people show you, like, I can't afford to do this in my own home. These are 1%er homes. I cannot do that kitchen remodel for that price that you want, just because you saw it on Flip This House and they said it was $40,000. Like, you're 10x that. So those are our biggest challenges in our industry, and I'm trying to do what I can to lead the charge of, let's work on managing expectations a little better on cost and quality and timeline. It doesn't mean you have to diminish the quality, but work with a client, and the clients can understand that to help us.
Love it. Next up.
My name is Thor Johnson. I'm on our cloud engineering team. When you guys were asked about pain points, Heather kind of said, well, we're going to have different opinions here. And you said, well, Steve's going to ask about the estimate spreadsheet, but he didn't actually say anything about the estimate spreadsheet. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that, because since customer feedback's super important, if that is a pain point for you, I'd love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah. So our process for estimating, and this is right, wrong, I don't know, this is what we do. We take the plans. I use Bluebeam to do all my takeoffs. I use Excel to build my estimate. And then I take everything once it's populated and it's where I want it to be, and the proposal's ready, I put it all in Buildertrend, and I use the estimate template in Buildertrend and send it to the client. So I'm kind of have my own weird hybrid thing, and then talking with a lot of other builders, they do the same. The estimate template I've built in Excel is very robust. I can very quickly change things, quantities, markups across different labor, materials, equipment if I have to, hours, scope, copy, paste, make adjustments very quickly. Biggest challenge I have in Buildertrend with the estimate function is I cannot make changes as quickly as Excel, and so that's why. But I do really like how it all inputs. So that's when I get it dialed in Excel, and it goes into Buildertrend.
That's been a working process, because up until like 2 years ago, it was not putting the estimate and sending the estimate through Buildertrend.
Yeah, I would put it in Excel, and then it'd go into QuickBooks. Then it would go as a proposal in QuickBooks, get signed by the client, and then I would re-enter all the data into Buildertrend once the proposal was signed.
Yeah.
So this is better.
Yeah, it's been a working progress.
All right.
Hi, my name is Nathan Kirkman. I'm one of the product design managers. You mentioned a few times about the whole team needs to be bought in. And so I'm curious to know, Like, what are some things that you feel that you're doing to sort of get your whole team bought into using Buildertrend and sort of like using it to collaborate on your projects together?
Yeah, so our field guys that are in the field, both our leads and our carpenters when they're swinging a hammer, they're actually responsible for generating the daily logs if they're at that site. So they'll go in, they'll open the daily log, they'll recap all of the work that's in there that they did for the day. We actually have an issues piece that we built out in our template that then we put in. We always, again, expectations, tell homeowners, just because it says an issue doesn't mean it's your issue, right? It might be something we need. Hey, we're short on material, need to reevaluate the lumber order. Just because it's a problem, it's not a problem. And they recap all that, what materials got delivered to the site. All of our field guys generate that. The project manager then reviews what's in there, just to make sure typos, anything else that needs to get added that they know as well. They review that and then they publish it and make it live for the subs and the owners to review. And we're doing that daily. So by 5 o'clock, that's done. That's the expectation in our company. And then Steve typically and I both review those sadly at like 9 o'clock at night after our kids go to bed. But that's actually where we do. And then from those daily logs is typically when we will find, hey, look at that flashing detail. Did we get this right on the roof? We might need to reach out to the drywall guy for this touch up. And so that's how we do it, just from a very granular day-to-day level. The team's in and out of it all the time. And we're constantly telling the team, especially our guys in the field, hey, who's after you? Are we ready for that? Is it the drywall guy? Do we have everything off the floor? Those kind of things, we make it available so you utilize it, right? And so the team's responsible for that.
Yeah, with any process in your company, you have to have it. First of all, you have to clearly communicate those expectations to your employees. And typically that's in writing. It should be in writing. And so you start with your job description. Our job description for our carpenter says, put daily log and Buildertrend by 5 p.m. each day, period. Now, you can put it in writing. It doesn't mean it's going to get done. And you have to follow through with that, right?
And photos, 3 to 5 photos.
Yeah, and it actually specifies 3 to 5 photos. Like we write that, and the word Buildertrend is in our job descriptions for our employees. So if you set it up front, that's your expectation. Then you're measuring it by doing yearly or quarterly or whatever reviews, and you go through this, and you go with that employee, and you're like, hey, your job description is put this in Buildertrend every day. I've noticed consistently you've only done it every other day or once a week or whatever it is. That's a measurable thing. You can hold them accountable.
Well, we're even breaking that down on our site because we do production walks on Wednesdays, myself and my operations manager, and we're grading those. We're grading the daily logs, right? We'll give them an A, B, C, D. Where does that look? Hey, weekly. Hey, not enough description. We need to know more, right? Or hey, you killed it. That's great. So we're not waiting until quarterly reviews, right? We're doing that almost weekly.
But with any process, you have to measure it, and so you have to hold people accountable. Because I get a lot of contractors, friends, they go, how do you get your guys to do these daily logs? Like, I can't get them to do it. And it's like, well, you set the expectation, you measure it, you lead by example. When I go to a job site, I will write a daily log, or if there's one not already written, I'll start one, and I'll say what I see. I'll put pictures in there. And so if you lead by example, where I go to a job site every day, I write what I saw or had a meeting on that project. And it just becomes kind of your culture. And if someone's not doing it, they're going to feel left out because everyone else is doing it, right? And so you also have to give your employees the tools for that. You can't expect your carpenter to have a smartphone and do this, although most people do. You have to give them the tools for it legally. So we give our guys iPads with LTE, activity, even if they're just swinging a hammer. They have an iPad, right? And so you give them the tools to do it, you empower them to do it, you measure it, and you lead by example.
Love it. All right, we're a little over on time, so this is our official last question. I'm sure I'm also preventing you from going to lunch according to the schedule, so keep that in mind. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bibbin. I'm a product design lead in the financial space. Our department recently has had a renewed focus on our culture, values, and principles. I'm curious to hear a little bit about what your culture, values, and principles are, and how Buildertrend helps you facilitate that with your team.
Well, one of our core values, right? One of our core principles is transparency, and that's why we're moving this cost plus model. There's a lot of secrecy about what we do is in construction, how you come up with this $100,000 kitchen remodel number. So if we can be transparent with our clients, number one, and show them how we came up with this number, that's where we go to cost plus fee, right? We show what the cost is, what our fee is. At that point, everything's on the table. Honesty, growth. Growth is one of our core values. And just having the framework to be able to grow to a 10, 20, $30 million a year company if we want, we have that framework.
Safety, right? We had a daily job pop up where we framed out for a balcony, and I saw it on the daily log that night and was like, hey, we got to get temp railing up there tomorrow, right? And the to-do was sent. Get it up tomorrow. Made a schedule activity. Called my lead out there. Hey, get everything out there. We need to make that happen. And I saw it. It was blocked off at the slider door, right? But that doesn't mean that the stucco guy is not going to be out there the next day. So we already know. The team's like, yeah, we're on it. But that's back to what we believe in and coming from the top down of what we want to see for our company.
Yeah, and part of our vision is to be leaders in our industry. And that's not just me and Heather, it's everyone in our company. But just like you as a company, Buildertrend, having faith in our little company to be here on this stage, we want to be leaders. We want to be thought leaders, and like, how do we help make this industry better? So Heather and I really do appreciate this opportunity too.
Yeah, we started it because we did our own kitchen remodel, and we thought there's such a need for this because we didn't find anybody in our market that's going to do a good job, that'd be up to our standards. And so we saw the need in residential. It's why we even took the leap of let's start our own business. This could be so much better. And so I think that's what I love about what you guys are constantly putting out. How do we make this better for this industry that's, we joke, it's like the Wild West, a bunch of cowboys out here, so.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you so much for the questions, Beanie. It was great kind of hearing your perspective, what your curiosities are. There were a lot of other questions too, actually. We chose 6, so maybe I'll pass that Excel sheet. Speaking of Excel, you can look it over and see if there's any other spicy ones that you want to answer. We have to wrap up. We're 5 minutes over, so apologies there. It's not keeping to the schedule. That's what editing's for. This is live, though, so we got to fix it in post, as we say. Charlie, I always ask Charlie at the end of the interview, kind of, what did you think? And I don't want to ruin a tradition. So Charles, while everyone's watching, he's a little bit more of an introvert, if you can tell. I'm a little bit more of just a loudmouth. What'd you think, man? What were your takeaways today?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short since we're over time. But the one thing that you guys said consistently that really resonated with me was just transparency and setting proper expectations with your trades, with your homeowners that you're working with your vendors, why you prefer and choose certain people. I think that's something that we're really trying to stress across the board, from our sales team to our customer success team to our product engineering team, of this is what Buildertrend is. This is what it takes to be successful with it, and we're going to do everything in our power to get you there. So that's what really resonated with me. But I just can't stress enough how appreciative we are for you guys coming up here today. I know I say this all the time, but I need to say it again, is like, I am never more motivated to work than after I get done with a podcast recording.
Sure, he just fires up, like, gets a Tableau report out, like, next, like, 10 minutes.
we just
like, instant. Like, if you need a request, come out of the studio. Charlie will get it for you.
We constantly get lost behind Confluence pages and dashboards and Asana boards and, like, the daily work toward, like, daily day stuff. But remembering why we work here and who we're building for, I just can't thank you enough for providing that motivation and transparency to our whole team here. So real quick, let's give one more round of applause. Other than that, anything else, Zach?
No, I think the thing that hit me at the end was, success isn't an accident, and your guys' intent and your observations and the things you're trying to work toward, it truly is inspiring, and we're just lucky to have you as customers. So thank you so much for choosing, you working with us, because it's a partnership. To our listeners as well, thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing. Remember to check us out where all podcasts are available. To our P&E friends, thank you so much. John Walker, thank you for inviting us to your meeting, for us to just take over. We really enjoyed it, and make sure you check us out on the Building Code. I'm Zach Patovich.
And I'm Charlie Burtwhistle.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel for exclusive content brought to you by Buildertrend.